Hey, are you ready? Welcome to the Say Michael podcast. What up? What is going on? What's going on? What's up? Welcome to the Say Michael podcast, one man's attempt at business, family, and comedy. I'm your host, Michael Agbajan, and yes, we are here on the 37th episode. The big 37, we made it here, and I'm really happy about today because I woke up this morning and I put my uniform on. I walked in the mirror and I looked in the mirror and I looked at myself and I was like, who gonna stop you? Huh? No. Who gonna stop you? And sometimes you had a little, we have our own haters in our head, and I was like, I'm gonna stop you. And I said, bitch, you ain't stopping shit. You ain't stopping nobody. Can nobody stop me? No single body on this earth can stop me. And the reason why no one can stop me, because no one could get me. And the only person who gets me is me. Let's just say that. And I woke up with that energy. It felt good because, you get to put your jersey on, get in the game. You're blessed with another day with it. So it just feels good. And if you don't have the energy, it's all good. Take some of this. Take some of this energy right now. I got more than enough to give because that's how I woke up. And I couldn't wait to talk to you. Let me be a little bit more honest. I just couldn't wait to talk to you because the topic of discussion today is one that's pretty important to me. And this one has to do with what is ownership? That's the question. What is actual ownership? If you don't already know, there's like a light beef going on between Joe Budden of the Joe Budden podcast and Charlamagne the God, and which is a host of 97.9 The Beat on the Breakfast Club, and then also he has his own podcast with Andrew Schultz, which is The Brilliant Idiots. And right now they're like beefing back and forth about what is their understanding of ownership, of what actual ownership is. And let me give you a quick definition just so we could clear that up of what the actual definition of ownership is. And ownership is the act, the right, the state of owning something. And I know that you probably hate those definitions that have the word in the definition too. But the best question you can ask yourself is, does it belong to me? How much of it belongs to me? That's how you could understand what ownership is, what belongs to me and what doesn't. Right now, Charlamagne and Joe Budden, they're talking about podcasting and what is it worth? So the question you do think about is, what is your content worth? And will people be able to ever pay you what you truly are worth in your content? Now, Joe Budden believes that if he goes to a corporation or a company, this is based on him saying this. This is again through 3 different podcasts that he's come out with. And I listen to his podcast, I would say somewhere occasionally or regularly. And it's good to listen to because he has high skills in speaking. He's really great at speaking. But we differ when it comes to beliefs on certain things, So basically I tap into his every now and then because he does have great talent in speaking and being a journalist and just talking. So that, I'm a big fan of that. So he goes on, he's under the understanding that if he goes to a corporation, that if he makes that corporation more money, that he should get the upside of the revenue that he's bringing in. So to get a little piece of that understanding, he should get, he should come in with medium to low risk, but get the majority of the upside because he's the talent. He's the personality that's coming in. He's the brand, and the brand is doing X amount of dollars for this company. So he should be able to take a piece of the bottom line for what that company is bringing in for his particular brand. Charlamagne, he's under the understanding that, his definition or his understanding of ownership is not just coming into a company and owning the majority of it, or what you bring to it, is that you take a low risk, which is doing a partnership deal on a particular project or whatever. And those deals are worth something. You can own within those deals. You don't have to. So if you have a McDonald's, this is a way to sum it up. If you have a McDonald's franchise, doesn't mean that you can have the ownership over the franchise, but it doesn't give you ownership over the McDonald's corporation. That's the difference, is that you could bring McDonald's all this bread, all this money, and you will still get your piece of your deal, which is, again, more what Charlamagne's looking at, the deal, and that is also like how to get into the abstract understanding of what ownership is. And this is what Charlamagne's deal is currently. So this is where we're at with Charlamagne. I'm gonna give y'all some sounds so y'all could get a little backstory. But here it is.
Happy to announce that today it was announced that I'm launching my own podcast network called the Black Effect Podcast Network with iHeartRadio. Something that's been in the works for a long time. Everybody in this room knows that. 50-50 joint venture. Google what a joint venture is.
Look, if you really want to know what a joint venture is, I did Google it. And a joint venture is a business arrangement in which two or more parties agree to pool their resources together for the purpose of accomplishing a specific task. That is what that joint venture is. Let's continue.
Because it's funny to me. This is the other thing that's funny to me about the internet. Everybody on the internet swears they know. How do y'all speak on things that you have no clue about with such confidence?
Well, because they listen to one podcast where people do it for a living.
Yes.
And they think that they can replicate it. That's not how it works.
I need everybody out there to know that it's two type of people in this world you're going to listen to. You're going to listen to the people who've never done it, try to tell you how to do it.
Okay.
Or you're going to listen to the people who are doing it, tell you how you can get it done. And even if I tell you, it still may not happen for you because you're not me.
Okay. That was a bar. But also understanding Charlamagne, what he's talking about is there's a lot of people. See, I know he's not talking to me because I'm not the internet. I do have an opinion over ownership, over deals, contracts. You don't have to have a full understanding. You don't have to have every behind the scenes you don't have to have the actual contract itself to understand what a simple deal is. And currently, this is what Charlamagne's deal is with iHeartRadio. He has a 50-50 deal to create the Black Effect, which is a network within iHeart that elevates Black voices that you hear in podcasting, and that's what I assume it is. It's like a podcast network, and that is his deal. And he stressed the fact that it was a 50-50 joint venture, mainly because Joe Budden is out screaming about how he doesn't own anything, and that's why what Charlamagne is doing isn't what Joe Budden thinks is the right thing. Personally, right? So let's get into like how Joe Budden thinks when it comes to making a good deal.
Stage old fight. What, you want to go work for the corporation, or do you want to be an entrepreneur and get your own shit and do your shit your own way? And no one is wrong.
There is no wrong way.
There's no wrong way.
There is no wrong way.
Makes you feel comfortable.
What makes it wrong
is when you speak on other situations.
Yes,
For sure.
It's funny because that happens all the time where you're making a point, and as you're making your point, someone else finishes your sentences, or if they finish your sentence and it's not correct, but because you already have the energy of making your point, you kind of have to like agree so you don't like embarrass that person or like, mess up your point, right? And that's what happened right there, because he's like, he's just about to finish it, his sentence, and then Maul, who's a co-host on the Joe Budden podcast, hops in, and he jumps in and says, what makes it wrong is when you speak on other people's business. And that's not what Joe Budden was about to say, but he had to go along with it. Look, happens to me all the time. Let's continue.
When the Charlavengers get together.
There's a wrong way.
When the Charlavengers get together, when the B Mike All-Stars get together and say, hey, that way is wrong, but you are collaborating and conspiring with a white company that still has yet to do right by you.
And the white company he's talking about are most of the corporations that are owned usually by white people. You know, they got there first. They had a little advantage. I get that. But he's talking about Spotify in that deal because he has a deal with Spotify, which Joe Budden is leaving due to like his deal not being what he thought it should be, you know, and that's where a lot of, I think, the misunderstanding that Joe Budden has. I think he feels, this is from, again, what he's saying, that to do right by the talent that's bringing in, you know, the brand or the talent or the content, that you should give them the majority of the upside. And it just doesn't work like that. Let's let him finish up and see what else he has to say.
Well, maybe this is him. Maybe this is them doing right by him.
It is.
In his mind.
It is them doing right by him. But let's make it clear. Stop shitting on Joe. You went out, you searched the market, you tried to get the number that you thought you were worth. You didn't get that number.
He's talking about Charlamagne right now, talking about how Charlamagne was going around trying to find his, like, a deal to do his Black Effect network at Spotify first, but ended up doing the deal with iHeart. So I guess they're talking about that.
I know that because I'm in all of the rooms before you. I'm very aware of what happened when you attempted to go to Spotify for your network deal. They told you to suck dick. I thought that was wrong. I thought that was a mistake in judgment. But guess what? That's oppression. You know what I'm...
See, he feels that it's oppression by going to a company and not getting the deal because he feels that they have too much control. And that's where we disagree, because Joe Budden had a bar before. He said some people don't want to feed the soil. They just want to pick the fruit, right? And that sounds good. But not everything that sounds good is sweet. Because if I buy the soil and I buy the seed, I'm picking the fruit first. That's a big difference. And then also, if you want a piece of this, of what's going on, we could split the fruit, but it's going to be based on terms that I understand and that I want. But see, Joe Budden wants to tell the people the terms, but that in that case, they could say, go bark up another tree. That's what they'll say. Go bark up another tree. You know, this is how it works here. If you don't like how it works here, then go somewhere else. But see, the difference in this particular ownership argument is that Joe Budden is talking disparagingly about the people that he's contracted with. And what I remember this to be, you see this in sports all the time, is that you have some people who are coachable and some people who are just not coachable because they have their understanding of what they think is fair. What they think is fair. And when you go to a corporation or you go to any company, trust me, when a company brings on somebody onto there, they're looking for proof of concept. They're not looking for potential. Guess what? Because we all have potential. All of us. We all have it. No matter how good or bad you are, we all have potential. But not everyone has proof of concept. So when companies put out money on things, a good example of my employees is that, you know, they get 50% or they get a percentage of their actual deal of what we set up, right? That's the deal, but they don't have a percentage of the Waterboys Inc. And the reason is I could give you the supplies, I could give you access to all of our customers, but for the 13 years we've been out, you did not build it. You didn't build it from the beginning, and you have these little misunderstandings that people said, no, I want a piece of everything because I'm coming in, I'm gonna bring this, I'm gonna bring that. And look, you could sometimes do that. You could actually do that, which is give up some of your ownership to actually give it to somebody who has a little skin in the game. I almost made that move, but I was saved because as an employee that I had in the past where he had the same perspective as Joe Budden when it came to ownership. We won this award. This was in 2012. Excuse me. And in 2012, we won this award for best automobile washes in Dallas. And then when I came to them and said, hey, we won the award, everyone was happy about it. But a particular employee was pissed off. And he says, Michael, I need to talk to you. And I said, let's talk. And he says, I don't like the fact that, it's you who won the award when it's us who did the work. And I said, whoa, okay, let's get into it. I said, it's all of us that win. He says, nah, because they didn't give us all an award. They only gave that award to you. I'm like, yeah, because I'm the owner. He's like, that's the issue I got, is because you reap all the rewards, but we're doing all the work. And I was like, First off, it is a team thing. I get it. But understand that you got your reward. You got your piece. Because your piece of this entire thing was guaranteed. I guaranteed what it was that you're going to get. I didn't get any guarantee. That's the difference. So your piece is guaranteed. But he comes into it and he thinks that the way that people look at it, that ownership should just be based on everyone who's involved at the time. No, that is not ownership. You came in, we made a deal. With that deal, I honored it. And I made sure that you got everything you're owed. Now, because we accomplished things and things happen, I still give credit to the team. I still give credit to everybody. It's just not, I know it's not just me. There's no absolute ownership. I have to give up something just to make things happen. So there's just a big misunderstanding on what ownership truly is. And I was like, hey, look, I didn't tell them how to give the award. They just gave it to me. They just gave one. Now he's trying to dictate to say we should all have it one single day and do all that. I was like, I don't even know where you're going down with this argument. I get it. That, it didn't say everyone's name on here of who contributed to this award. But understand that you're part of a team. So we all won. But he didn't see it that way. And he was really upset. And I think that's kind of where we're at. There's more to it that Charlamagne said. Let's see what he has to say on these things about his joint venture.
That's what it is. Yes. And also too, when it comes to like the joint venture thing, don't listen to people when they say, just because you can't partner with corporations because you don't own anything, or if you're not putting your own money up, what kind of splits are you getting? Or don't let people make you believe that if you're not 100% owner, then you're not an owner, because that's not true. Especially as a black person, right? So y'all don't respect Rihanna's Fenty deal with LVMH,
right?
Like, you don't respect when Rockefeller and Def Jam was 50-50 joint venture partners. You didn't respect Puff when he was with Bad Boy. You don't respect Puff and his 50-50 deal with the Spirit company that puts out Ciroc and the Daily on Tequila. Like, what are we saying when we?
It's a very common.
See, look, that's the difference. I think that Joe misunderstands. He's okay. Diddy, if we're talking about Diddy and his deal, with Ciroc, he has a high percentage of that particular deal, but he doesn't own part of Diego. Diego is the owner of Ciroc and all these other brands. You're talking about De Leon Tequila, Don Julio, Tanqueray, Guinness, Smirnoff Vodka, Captain Morgan. You're looking at a $319 billion company that Diddy doesn't have ownership in. But he does have ownership in the actual deal, which he has done with both De Leon Tequila and Ciroc. That's a difference, is that you could own the deal, but see, it does free you up to do other deals and other things. But if you're going to be in on the majority or whatever it might be for, I'm not even say whatever, I don't want to make it vague. If you're in on a deal, understand what you're owed and have ownership over what you're owed. So therefore you can get exactly what you have out of that deal, because that's a lot of what we're doing here, deals. And Joe Budden just has a different look at it. This is another example of what Joe Budden thinks about it.
It's just contradictory. You can't tell me in one sentence you want to big up black voices and then tell me you want to amplify and big up black voices, but on the other hand, you want to give off 50% for nothing.
And see, because of Charlamagne doing the Black Effect and bringing on other podcasters, and they take a percentage of their licensing, Joe looks at that as saying you're giving out too much of what it is for whatever deal that person's coming into. And yeah, I just want to be 100% clear on what we're looking at when it comes to ownership, and understand that, yeah, you're bringing the talent, but you're not taking the risk. So there's a difference in value of what your content is worth and what you think you're owed. But then also, this is something, because we're talking about some bars and some wisdom here, so we all could take with this. You know, Charlamagne's prerogative and what he says is that, yeah, you aren't what you're worth. You are what you negotiate, right? But Charlamagne also needs to know that if that was true, that you are what you negotiate, there wouldn't be any divorces. There wouldn't be, because the thing is that bad deals do exist. People do make bad deals, and I must say that's something I have experience in. I've made some pretty bad deals with people and companies, and understand that those deals, I don't come out and I disparage those particular people or companies in front of everybody, you know, which is what Joe Budden's doing about Spotify and all that. I mostly, you know, just move on. I don't complain. I don't stop and complain and scream, because when you hear Joe Budden scream, you know, you could hear that he's scared, because he has a team full of guys who are shopping for condos, and he's trying to figure out how he's going to give them the maximum split without losing. And then that's when you have to get creative when it comes to how do you want to win. When it comes to making a deal, you go through these deals at some point. After a while, you get to a point to where this is the way the deal is structured. I can't go further without a deal being structured like this. And how do you get to that? It takes experience to know what doesn't work. And Joe Budden is now screaming, which is one of the rules of Sun Tzu, of the rules of war, is that you never move with emotion. And the screaming, it's quite emotional. And I get it. He's vested in his opinion. But when you want to win, you have to be creative in the deal that you want to make so you can get what you're owed. That's how you get ownership over your decisions, ownership over the moves you want to make. And you can't move forward if this doesn't happen. But back to what I was saying, that you are what you negotiate. You know, Joe got into a deal that he was not happy with. And it does happen that you get into partnerships, or you go into deals with people, and they don't honor what's on paper, or they don't have the flexibility that you think they should have. Or sometimes you do a partnership with somebody 50-50, but you're doing 100% of the work. You're doing 100% of the work, and that person's like, oh, see, that's just how business is. Some bad deals do exist. So you could negotiate a good deal, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be executed well. You know, so in this one, when it comes to ownership, I think we all need to come to the firm understanding that you got to understand what belongs to me. And, you know, what Joe wants out of companies to give to him for high upside, you know, with low risk, that's just not something companies do. And you have to go out. And when you say pure independence and going out on your own and owning what you have to figure all that out. And you take a lot of risks, you take a lot of L's, but nothing's deserved to you just when you go to another corporation. You have to find somewhere else to work with, or you work on your own. You can't complain. And I'm talking about when you have, and I don't even want to be talking too much about, you know, Joe Budden, but this is to a topic that I care dearly about, which is ownership, is that when you go through 3 podcasts screaming and shouting and explaining to everybody about the deal and how you got everything together and don't worry about me, it's a lot of energy spent in the wrong places. And if you're talking about true ownership, you don't have to explain to anybody, because it shows through the deals that you're making. And, you know, one of the creative ways, if you ever want to look into like different ways of ownership, is that if you're losing, let's say you go into something, you're bringing in the talent and they're taking 75% of whatever it is, you could just mark up whatever they took now to your value. So if they're taking 75%, you up you up your value 75% more to advertisers or in your merch or whatever you do. You raise the price there and you make up for the difference. You can make up for the difference in other areas. You don't have to get everything you can out of one particular company or entity. So that's what I wanted to talk to y'all about is ownership. I hope we got down to it. And yeah, you know, that's why I talk about, you know, like Diddy, he makes a deal, but he don't own, you know, Diego. And Rihanna, she makes a deal, but she don't own LVMH. You know, LVMH, when they started in the 1990s, they put together Louis Vuitton, Hennessy, like 60 other brands, and they're worth over $200 billion. But, you know, Rihanna has her ownership over her particular part of that deal, but not over all of LVMH, even though she might bring them so much more customers and all these different type of things. But again, proof of concept. People want proof of concept, not potential. We all got potential. And guess what, you know, for Joe Budden is that if you're a personality, you know, or a public figure in that case, and you put out content, there's no real way of knowing what your value truly is. You might have your opinion on what your value truly is, but that changes depending on how you change. Now you could do and, you know, make certain moves that would increase your value, or you make some moves that decrease your value. You don't really know until hindsight, until the end, you know. So hopefully, you know, this brings us to a better place, because I found this so interesting, because you're talking about ownership, you're talking about podcasting, you're talking about deals and what things are worth, and you go on any platform and speak loudly and scream, and people will believe you, you know, especially when they haven't really heard this information before. What else do they have to believe or understand? But, you know, I just want to bring a little bit more clarity to what it is. And unfortunately, I don't, you know, want to lean on either side, but Charlamagne is more correct in his deal making. He might not have full ownership in the entity, like from the buying the soil and the seed, but he does have ownership over the fruit that's bared from that tree, you know. So that is a different type of deal, different type of ownership. And you have to understand that ownership is abstract, and there's certain ways to understand it and how you want to divide it up. But just at the end of the day, ask yourself, what belongs to you? How much of this belongs to me? And with that, you could be able to make the decisions, go to places you want, and have the true freedom that you look for. So again, I appreciate you all for joining me on this. We all came in with the right energy. I'll make sure that we leave out on the right energy. You know, when you're playing, if you're familiar with track and field, and you're in a relay race, you know, we're halfway through right now with this episode. I'm about to pass that stick to me and Bly. Stick! That's what we used to do. Stick! You pull it out. Ooh. And now I'm about to take the second leg with me, myself, and Bly. It's a great episode. Great conversation. I hope you enjoy it. It was so good talking to you. I'll see you later. Peace out. Hey.
Hey.
What's going on? What?
I don't know.
What, because I said it weird?
No,
like,
I couldn't even figure out what to say. That's crazy.
You couldn't figure out what to say, what's going on?
No, I couldn't even figure out what I wanted to say. Nothing came out. But nothing's going on, I guess.
I wonder what that means.
I don't know.
That probably means there's a lot on your mind.
No, there's nothing on my mind. But I don't know why I got stuck. That was so weird.
Want to start over and say,
no.
Hey, yeah, today's your off day.
I know, it went by so fast. It
went by quick.
Man, it went by too fast.
Yeah, and you did you spend it the way you wanted to?
I did. I actually went to lunch with a friend she used to work with Gucci. Mm-hmm. So she used to come for holidays, and I haven't seen her in probably almost 2 years, or maybe like a year and a half. So we had lunch today, and that was really, really fun.
I thought you loved catching up.
Yeah, because she got married.
Wow, how long ago?
I know. So I haven't seen her like a year and a half, and she's been married for a year. I'm like, dang, a lot has happened. Like, catch me up. You
should be like, oh, I get it. So I'm not close enough to you to be invited
right?
to the wedding, huh?
Or even told, you know. So, but no, she got married out the country. It was like, you know, spur of the moment type thing, which I think is so cute. Her family was there. His family was there. It was very small, intimate. And they just did the damn thing.
See, that's the way you got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, my brother had a big wedding.
And which was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was great. Mm-hmm. And you know, I asked him like, what would you do different? You know, and he's like, I probably wouldn't have even like did a wedding. We probably just got married.
I'm sure, because it's so stressful. I mean, we got married. It was very, very intimate. Just your parents, my parents, Idol, our son. I was pregnant with the other one, big and pregnant, and that's all we really needed.
It was great.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was not stressful. We were, you know, went out to eat afterwards. It was like the most amazing time to me.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine having it another way. You know, I love big weddings and seeing big weddings, but for me to actually plan that, no, ma'am.
Could you go into that business of being like a wedding planner?
You know, I thought about it.
For real?
Yeah, because I remember it was like wedding season like a few years back. You remember we kept going to weddings like back to back to back, and I would see like all the decor, and I'm like, ooh, this is really pretty. I can actually do this. And you and I, every time we would go to a wedding, we would be talking about it. I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can decorate and do all the tables and stuff, but nah, I'm not really into that business.
When I say a wedding planner, I'm like, you know, because I have zero interest in planning or putting like weddings together.
Yeah.
So when I say wedding planner and they're like take it so seriously and they say they love it, it's almost like, why would you like all that stress?
Oh my God.
It's a lot of stress.
It is. It is.
You're dealing with the bride, dealing with the groom, you're dealing with the family.
Exactly.
You're trying to deal with all these contractors.
Yeah.
You know, I bet it's a very hard business to like build your brand, you know? It
seems like every wedding, what is it called? Wedding coordinator or
wedding planner?
Wedding planner. You'll see, you know who the wedding planner is at the wedding, because you see they look stressed out. You know, they're just like high strung running around, and then they're dressed like all raggedy and stuff. I'm like, dang, I couldn't do that.
You know what the big thing, you know, people say don't do it for money.
Yeah.
This is a good measurement of a not a job, but like an entrepreneur venture or business where you can't do that for the money. Like if you try to become a wedding planner just for the money, you will not enjoy it, because
you won't,
it has to be about you enjoying it,
exactly,
you loving it. This is something you could do in your sleep. It's something you always think about, because people do get into jobs or
just for the money. Yeah.
And then when they hate it, you think, like, what is that about? You know?
It's funny when people have like those great jobs and they make so much money and they're so like just stressed out and depressed. I'm like, and I'm always like, but you make so much money. Like, why, like, why do you hate it so much? You make so much money, you know? But
it's weird though, right?
It's not about the money.
Well, some like for example, there's some doctors or some lawyers
exactly,
who go into it for
because
the money.
Of the money, yeah.
And then they live what I would say, one of those lives where, you know, it's almost like they deal with some type of like, I would say light depression. I don't even know what you would consider it, but they're always angry and upset.
It's very stressful, I'm sure.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the money's never worth it. You know, like no matter how much you make, if whatever you're giving your time towards, you don't like, it's not going to be a fair trade. You're going to look at it like, damn, I am getting cheated.
Exactly.
And then you've gone so far. Like, you know, some people go into the medical field and to get from the beginning to the end of like becoming a doctor and doing all that, he's looking at like 15 years.
Man.
So you got all that time invested, all that money, and then let's say you don't like it.
Which I'm sure happens.
All the time.
But that sucks.
Lawyers are the number one entrepreneurs, where they end up becoming, they end up going into lawyers and they have turnover where they turn into like either business owner or entrepreneur. And it's like the highest. It's like first is lawyers, where they turn over outside of going into law and then go into business, and then after that it's like engineers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I can see why for lawyers, because you know they have all the background information, the academics, the network, you know, so they kind of go into something, either their own practice or something within law, or even something completely outside of it. But being a lawyer, I don't see how you can enjoy that either.
Yeah, to me that doesn't sound fun, but I know some people who enjoy being a lawyer, you know, but for me,
Remember,
I can't be sitting up there arguing with people all day. I ain't got to sign.
What do you think about people who like to argue? Who say, I like
If you like to argue, then there you go.
You know what someone said?
Be a lawyer.
Someone said, if you like to argue, skip me.
For real, because I'm not sitting up here arguing with nobody.
Do you know anybody who's argumentative?
Yeah, of course. I'm married to a person.
You think I'm argumentative?
No, you're not argumentative, but you can put up a fight. So didn't you want to go to law school?
I did.
See? Exactly. You're not argumentative, but you can definitely defend your case.
Yeah, but it wasn't too... You know, I really didn't know what... Like, if I had known, if I could look back and change things, it would have been like, I would have always did business.
Really?
Yeah, because, you know, I did other things based on like immature interest. You know, something you see on TV,
right? Exactly.
Or people that you see and you think that you go into is going to be great, but then you find out that you've been doing something all your life that you could have just tapped into that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I didn't see business as an option.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't even an option for me. It was just something I did. And then going to college, you know, I'm preparing to be a dentist first.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I'm like, nah, law. But the only reason I wanted to be a dentist is because, you know, I enjoy teeth.
Yeah, you like looking at beautiful teeth.
Yeah, so I'm like, who cares about that? I can do that real easy. And then I figured out I hate science.
Oh, my goodness.
And then with law, you think the same thing of a lot of people go into law, take on a lot of debt. They get out, they work in some kind of clerkship or local something. And they're not getting, I mean, you're looking like you're getting paid less than a teacher to do certain.
So you have to really like start at the bottom.
Yeah, you start to work your way up, and then you try to do your own practice, and that is even more competitive. Like even in like if you look at dentists, they said that there's so many dentists out there that when you're trying to go out on your own, it's the most competitive. That's why they beg you to give you reviews. Because there's so like you could go in a single area, and there's like 11 dentists.
That's true.
So they said, yeah, you can have a good life because you're making a lot of money, but to find customers that flow through your door, it's really difficult because a lot of people took that route, and they're a lot, you know, they're like concentrated in certain areas. So you look at those things, you're like, you have to at some level enjoy it,
right?
Or it's just going to be hell to pay.
Man, I wanted to be a pediatrician when I first went to school.
You even thought about even going back?
Yeah,
to be a pediatrician?
I did. I thought about, because I love kids, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I couldn't.
Why?
I mean, I'm not like, you know, work in the office type person. You know, I don't know. I just couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. The idea is cute.
See,
I like the idea.
You see what I mean now? Like, you can have an idea of it, and then you have a like imagination of how easy it'll be and how fun it'll be, but then the real behind the scenes.
Yeah, see.
Like, let's say you're a pediatrician and you're either working for somebody, and you'll have every now and then where you have that child or someone come in and you're like, this makes it all worth it.
And then, but you get them bad kids.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, I hate my job.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And see, the boys are really good when we go to the pediatrician. They love going, but we're sitting in the room, we're quiet, we're reading a book, waiting for the doctor to come in. But in the next room, you hear like the children screaming. I'm like, see, that's what I don't want to deal with. And the pediatrician, every time, she's so sweet, but she always look run down. We could be the first people in the building that morning, her first appointment, she just looks so run down and just stressed, and she's always like, you know, she just talks real fast and she's just like in and out, and I couldn't live my life like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of like teachers are sometimes like that.
Yeah, they do. They look so stressed.
Yeah, because they give so much.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's really, a lot of times, it's not really about the money.
No,
it's just
not.
that you are trying to help.
Right.
And there's so many people that need help.
Yeah.
And you can't say no.
Exactly. That's my sister. She's a teacher. She's an English teacher, and she's so passionate about it. Like, she does go above and beyond for her students, and she works at one of those schools where the kids are, you know, they were kicked out of their other school or they were suspended. I forgot what it's called, what the type of school that she works at in Houston, but it's a lot of like troubled kids who have like problems at home or problems at different schools.
Or backgrounds.
The backgrounds are really, you know, it's not great. But so she does go above and beyond for her kids, and she's like tired, exhausted every single day.
Yeah, and then you think of that trade-off, because you have to really love it.
You have to love it, and
you
she loves it. She loves it. She works on her days off. She works on weekends. She picks up extra shifts. She works at a college as well. Like, she really truly loves it. But she's always wanted to be a teacher. First, she wanted to be a lawyer. She thought about that because she's argumentative. But, you know, she found out that, let me try her teaching, because she loves telling people what to do. She's very bossy. So it's like the perfect job for her. So you could tell she's extremely passionate about it. So kudos to her.
Yeah, and you have to really understand that this goes into entrepreneurism, which you're tapping into. You're becoming an entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
It's the fact that, like, when you go into it, just because I'm complaining doesn't mean I don't love it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Some people, like, you complain about, like, man, this is happening, this and they're like, man, I feel bad for you, because it's like, first off, I could complain about anything in my business, because there's a lot of things that happen.
Right.
But let's not get it twisted
You still love it.
That I love it. There's some advantages into it, like
of course,
when you're helping, like let's say kids, or like being a pediatrician, where you help kids and make money, and control your schedule in a certain way. So really, you go through all this stress and you're beat down, but it's your choice.
Exactly.
No one can make you do these certain things because this is what you chose to do. You know what I mean?
And it's worth it. At the end of the day, you can complain about your job, but that doesn't mean you don't love it.
Yeah,
you know?
there's some people who complain and hate their job.
Right.
And there's some people who complain and love their job.
That's me. See, I'm the number one complainer in my store. Like I complain every day, constantly. And my manager's always like, okay, Bly, what do you need to complain about today? Like every day there's a complaint. And it's not because I hate working there. I tell my manager all the time, I complain because I'm passionate.
Right.
Yeah.
You say like, shit ain't right. I gotta get,
I love working here and I just want it to be the best that it can be, you know? So I'm passionate. I complain because I'm passionate, because I love what I do. I love where we're going as a company, where we're headed. Like, I just want to make it better. So that's why I complain. Not because I hate working there, but it's because I truly enjoy it.
Yeah,
you know?
and you want it to be
the best.
The best.
Especially if my name is tied to it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be the best while I'm there, but I also want the store to be the best, you know, while I'm there. I don't care what happens after I leave.
After you leave, you don't care.
After I leave, I don't care.
Yeah, so I always feel like, how do we get on this topic about?
We just be.
Yeah, because because I think about those careers and things that you love and all that, and it just leads to like, how do you make decisions? Because we're talking about like lawyers.
Yeah.
What to go to school for, and some people just like me. Oh, this is where it started.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't know really what to do going into college.
I didn't either.
There's nobody who was like, you should do this, you should do that. It was just some type of generic doctor, lawyer. There was no alternative, no other option. So if I had known earlier, I would have did business in high school.
Yeah.
Then I would have did business in college.
Exactly.
And then I would have, because, I didn't even know, listen how crazy this is. I didn't even know that you could get into law school with any degree.
What?
I thought you needed specifically a political science degree.
Oh, I see.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if it was, I would have just did like criminal justice, or did, because I enjoyed that a lot more than political science, and I would have did business or something like that, and then use that
to go to law school.
But I was under the impression that you had to I'm knowing people who go into law school with English degrees,
Wow.
And I'm like,
know that. You didn't know.
I didn't know. I had no idea.
That's crazy. And see, for me, like leaving high school and going straight to college, I wish I would have, for me, I wish I would have set out a year and really thought and think, really hard about what it is that I want to do, because my first year was a complete waste. I went to school wanting to be, like I said, a pediatrician. And then I kind of changed my mind. I said, okay, I'm gonna just do business, which I had no clue what business was even about, and then it wasn't until my second year, I was like, I love fashion. Why don't I just do fashion? And that's what I got my degree in. But then I realized I really didn't need a degree to do what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, why? I should have just did something else, you know? But, I appreciate the opportunity to even go to college to get my degree, because not too many people from where I'm from, went to college or even had the opportunity, or even that wasn't even a thought, after high school, that's it. So, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, but then I kind of look back and I'm like, I wish I would have or someone was there to like tell me, really think about what it is that you want to do and go for it, because I really had no clue. It was just, for me, I was just being told, go to college, get a degree, get a good job. That's all I was being told. So I didn't have any direction of where to go.
You know what sucks? Because most people, I'm talking about even the most talented, have nobody to guide them.
No.
You have all these questions.
Exactly. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, and even when you ask, most people don't even care enough to really listen.
Those guidance counselors or whatever they were called, I really feel like, and this is just my experience, I didn't really get good guidance. I felt like I was a kid making adult choices when I was a kid, I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do at 17 years old. That's what age I was when I went to college. I had no clue. I just knew, okay, just go to college and figure it out. But
see, you're blind going into it, right?
100%.
So you didn't even know the significance of college. I didn't know either.
I didn't, and my parents didn't graduate from college. They're actually college dropouts, because my mom got pregnant with my older brother while she was in college. So it wasn't like, okay, go to college and do this and do that. It wasn't that. My parents was just basically like, go to college, make sure you get a degree, make sure you get a good job, you know? And it wasn't even like you need to be a doctor or a lawyer, you know? Like your parents were very specific, like doctor, lawyer, that's it, you know? It wasn't even that for me. It was just more like get a degree and go get a job, you know? And I'm just like, a degree in what? You know, or what school to even go to. So it was just weird, you know.
And it, you know, it's funny because you fill out the forms and you're trying to go certain places. But I wasn't, if you even want to be more honest, I wasn't even present at the time of filling out.
You just fill them out.
I just fill them out. Hey, I don't care where I really go.
Care, exactly.
And just some people who were intentional about their decisions of what college, and what degree, and then they get out.
I was gonna say, you know what I really envy though? I didn't want to cut you off, but when you see people, not college students, but seniors getting college acceptance letters and being all excited, I'm like, I didn't even have that. You know, I didn't have that experience because to me it was just like, okay, just go to your local college. Just get your degree.
It's funny. They have all these degrees and they said, all right, did I get into my college? Yes. Because they've been dreaming to get into like USC since like third grade. You're like, I never even
no clue. Same, trust me. We grew up very, very similar. Yeah. It's so crazy. Our lives are extremely similar. That's why our parents get along so well because they raised us very similar. Man, but we didn't really get that. But it's funny. I'm actually looking at my degree just sitting there and I'm just like, I didn't even need you.
Yeah. But see, now that makes it to the bigger debate about when people talk about college. And, you know, it's okay. To me, college degrees are very like abstract. It's nothing like real.
Right.
It depends on how you kind of work with it. You know what I mean? Because some people go into college, don't finish, have all this debt, don't become anything, and then they blame college as being a waste.
Right. Which I don't think it's a waste. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
And then some people go into college, know exactly what they want to do, achieve their goals, get out, and become whatever it is that they want it to be.
Exactly.
And then you have those people in the middle, the majority of people who go into college, not really sure.
Right.
Get something.
Yes.
Go into the real world, not even sure.
And just
with that something that you weren't even sure about.
Exactly.
And you don't even know what to do.
You don't know what to do, or you got a job that has nothing to do with your degree, you know, or you end up going back because your first degree is like, I don't even know why I chose that career. So let me do something different, you know? So I feel like that's majority of people, especially people that I know who I went to school with, who has degrees, are doing absolutely nothing close to what they are, you know, what they went to school for, you know, which is fine. And I wouldn't say college is a waste because our boys are definitely going to college because obviously the experience, you know, the education, the network, you know, you just your circle of friends, your lifetime friendship that you form. So it's definitely not a waste. It's such a great experience. But I know for us, you know, as the boys get older, we should definitely kind of steer them in that right direction of knowing what you want to do before you go to school and not have it a waste.
Which is, it's funny because that's how I think when it comes to correcting what I wasn't given, because I'm like, I'm going to be very hands-on and intentional with like how they should think or start thinking into this age, because literally had zero idea on any level what the importance of college was or anything like that. So I feel like if I had known, because there's some people I know, again, like I told you, who went to college, chose what they want to do, did exactly that. And I mean, I don't know how happy they are, but I do know that they stay committed to something because they knew beforehand. Yeah, you know, exactly. And I didn't really have a big idea on what direction, you know. Right. And I know a lot of people go through this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's weird. Like even now, I'm thinking about college for the boys because, you know, Idol, our oldest, he's so passionate about animals and dinosaurs, you know. So you kind of think, okay, where can you go with that? You know, veterinarian or a scientist or.
But I think you know, I think that's just him being a kid, though.
I mean, true.
Because, you know, if you go out there trying to be a dinosaur hunter, you know.
Well, he can find like the fossils. What
I know. Archaeologists, yeah. And I thought about that too, right? And I'm
he would love that. Oh my God.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, how many kids say, hey, I want
to be a fireman or a police officer
or archaeologist or a veterinarian.
That's true.
And then they get older, like, I really don't want to do that, you know, because of all the stuff you got to do to behind the scenes. Yeah. So it's more like I had an interest in it, but I'm not sure if the interest was something that I was like really passionate about. Yeah, which is hard to tell.
That's true, because there's actually a guy we went to college with, and it was, I remember the day I met him. He came up to me, just the sweetest guy, Jerry, I forgot his last name, but he came up to me after this meeting that we had, and he was just like, "Hey, you're blind." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I heard about you. I just wanted to introduce myself to you." He was just like, "I really want to do fashion. I'm so passionate about it. I've always loved it." He said, "But ever since I was born, literally, my parents have been grooming me to be a doctor." So he actually went to college to be a doctor, but he wasn't passionate about it. And he was, he's extremely smart. And I was like, "Cool, like, come aboard, come into the fashion world, and so he actually changed his major and he graduated, and I believe he has his degree in fashion. And like quickly after that, he opened up his own like studio, like a fashion house, I believe. So he's doing really well. I'm not sure if he's still in fashion, but I believe so. But it's just crazy that as a child, his parents, I get, maybe he must have shown interest in being a doctor or something, and his parents were like, "Okay, that's what you're gonna be. We're setting you up for that." And he was like, literally every book that I owned was how to be a doctor, doctor books or stuff like that. So he was like, "I'm not passionate about it."
Man, this is crazy because it's so hard to know what, like, to follow your passion or not.
That's true.
Because you can follow your passion, take L's.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because just because you're passionate about it does not make you rich in it. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So you might be struggling in whatever
That's
it is,
true.
or not making
Yeah.
what it was. And then the people who said you should have been a doctor, that chip, where you're like, "Man, you should have been a doctor because you wouldn't have been living in an apartment or then you start looking at yourself like, "Man, maybe I made the wrong choice, and maybe this and maybe that."
Yeah.
So it kind of, you don't really know where your passion really is, because some of your passion is in the interest of what you have, but there also is tied in like stability.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes people's egos. And, they have to tell these people, or like the people who are like advising them on what they should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And you can't really tell them anything else because you don't know any better.
That's true. So like, how do you feel about, let's say, they say struggling artists, let's say musicians or rappers or whatever, and they're so passionate about it, this is what they want to do, but they never make it. And they are like close to homeless, like, do you say continue your passion, follow through to the end because you never know? Or do you say you need to drop that and find another job? Like, how do you know? Do you base it off of money? You know what I mean?
That's the hard part. Okay, that's a really deep question, because here's part of it. You can never be just whatever it is, like the musician or the artist or the or like anything like that. You have to be the entire package. That's the hard part.
Exactly.
The package of passion plus knowing how to like move and promote and market and all these things of the market that you just have no interest in, you don't care about. Because the artists that aren't successful isn't because the art isn't very good, is that they don't promote themselves. They're not the total package. They don't put everything out there. They don't push. They don't, network. They don't promote. They don't hustle.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
They just do strictly the art.
I see.
And in a fair world, you would be able to just do the art, and people would just be able to appreciate it just like you, and just like, man, Yeah. But in the real world, which is not fair at all.
Exactly.
You put your art out there and people criticize it.
That's true.
Why did you use brown? You should use purple. And you're like, you don't understand my art,
But I feel like with social media, it has made it a little bit easier for people to get rich off of their art. Like, you don't have to, just to promote your art is just to post photos of it. You know what I mean? Whereas back then it was like you would have to do like a live show or art gallery, or, sing on the street or something just to get someone's attention. But nowadays, you just post it on social media and you can do all these hashtags and pray that a celebrity sees you and
look
pick
at that,
you up.
You look at that as a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. I mean, it's free, what is it? Publicity.
Yeah,
I can never say that word.
That was great.
So, yeah.
But see, part of it is while you're out there, free publicity, putting your stuff out there, promoting yourself.
Yeah.
You also have the fact that going digital, meaning going online, and having less impact by not really connecting genuinely with people, or going out and physically.
Right.
Think about it, you have to succumb to one or the other, where you have to be good in like the reality of meeting people and networking.
Yeah.
But then online, that's something you have to fulfill too. That's part of being the entire package. Some people don't want to post online, like myself. I don't really like, doing that because it's not something that I'm personally passionate about.
I know. It's
something you have to do.
Yeah.
To spread your name, to build yourself. You have to do it a certain way. That's even crazy part about it. Either you got to figure out how to do it on your own and make it really great, or you got to hire somebody out to do really great. And sometimes you don't either have the time or the money outside of what you do at all.
Or you may not even like it.
Exactly.
I feel like I kind of struggle with that too. Like, I'm just now getting back on Instagram, and I'm like having to be reminded to post photos, and I'm just like,
you're not like that.
Yeah, I'm not like, oh, we're out, let's take a photo, or oh, let's do this. Like, I have to constantly be reminded, like, hey, you want to take a photo, or hey, you need to take a photo of this and post it. So it's like I have to get into the habit of doing that, and it's just not part of my personality, you know, to take photos and post it, because I feel like we're pretty private, and over time I've become even more private. So now I'm just like,
that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's like now I'm just like being forced to post pictures and promote what it is that I want to do when I don't even want to post pictures.
Yeah. And see, the part with that is, it's not as bad as we think it is.
Yeah.
Like, you go into it, you post and do all it's not that bad. But the thing is, it's like, on the other hand, it is that bad because you don't really want to do it.
Yeah.
So you have to balance that whole, it's not that bad, but yet I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I have to just focus, because once you start doing it, it's not like a huge thing anymore. But the whole, do I want to do this or not? Is this part of my passion? Is this the direction I should be going? Should I get someone else to do it?
Yeah.
You have all these little other considerations. And that's kind of what you have to make a decision on what you're going to do. But that's why I feel like being the whole package is part of it. You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that is unfortunate, because you could go into college, you could go into being an artist or musician, and they get to a point to where they're like, okay, do I continue doing this?
Yeah.
Or do I do something else? That's another one where it's like, at what point do you get where you abandon what you've been doing?
Yeah.
Because it's just not working, to go into something, possibly take another risk on something that might not work again.
I know, that's the headache. And then even going into something that you're gonna struggle with for the rest of your life. As far as like money wise, because when it is like the arts, that's like, I'm sure, extremely competitive. And you gonna be struggling. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Do I want to struggle? Being a artist, any type of art, and
you see all these artists who are successful after being. You have all these artists who are successful after being dead. And they said, yeah, this person was living in poverty before they died.
Right, exactly.
And then you're like, oh, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because part of, like, there is a light, like I would say, a level of heaven on earth. Yeah. Where you get to make the choice. Because some people get it. You know what I mean? They're the total package. They put everything together. Now, we don't know their personal business like that. Right. So you don't know how happy they are. But some people got it, and like, it's true. It's perfect for them, Yeah, like true. I always look at some people like, okay, if Jordan had did something different, would he have been Jordan of something different? Well,
he tried. He tried to do different things, but he had to come on back to basketball, because that's the only thing you're good at. He tried golfing. He tried baseball. I don't know what other sport he tried, but it's like I guess he tried to do other things, and he just wasn't great at any of it. It was like, boy, come back.
He was okay at baseball, though. And I heard he's pretty good in golf.
Really?
Remember Scottie Pippen on the thing we just watched?
Oh, yeah, he did say that. Well, I mean, but we know what Jordan is good at.
Yeah.
He good at
we know
basketball and designing some sneakers, and that's it. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. But, I mean, it's cool that he did venture out and try other things, because some people are afraid to try other things. They're like, okay, well, I'm good at this one thing. Let me just stick to that. And I feel like you're really good like that, too. You remind me of, like, I wouldn't say Michael Jordan, because you don't suck at the other things that you do. But when you want to do something different, you try it, Yeah,
I do.
You try it. And that's what I love about you. It's like, okay, I'm going to do a podcast. Okay, I'm going to start this business. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, you're always doing something, I think that's really cool, because most people get afraid and they just want to stay in their safe spot and just stick to one thing,
Well, that's exactly what it is, where I am afraid.
Yeah, but I do
it anyways.
And see, most people don't. Even me, like, if I want to do something, oh my God, I got to think about it, pray about it, write it down, plan it out. And then before you know it, the passion is gone. It's like, I don't even want to do it anymore.
Oh, man, that's super real.
Yeah, it happens all the time. It's like I have so many business ideas, and I'm just like, I'm like, okay, well, let me think about it, and let me do this, and I take my sweet time on it, and then literally it's like the idea has just faded away, and I just don't want to do it anymore, So
what is it? Because that's so true, where you start going to the whole planning stage, and then that original passion that you had, that spark,
it fades,
and you're like, and you got to remember that.
Exactly, it fades, and that's why with this new business that I want to do, I said, okay, I kept seeing photos of it. I dreamed about it. My friends remind me of it all the time. I love looking at the photos of it. I say, okay, what can I do to actually like do it now to keep the passion going? Because knowing me, I'm just gonna say, oh, I love it. I'm gonna come up with the name, and then that's it, and I move on to something different. So I'm like, okay, let me actually do it, and which I did this past Sunday, and it was amazing. So I don't know if you guys saw photos on my Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, but I'm doing like, I don't know, should I say?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to do like table decor and flower walls, and not so much party planning, but I guess kind of like party planning, decorations. So I'm extremely passionate about it. And like I said, I love themes and I love putting, ideas together. So I actually did one on Sunday, and I said, you know what, I'm going to invite like my mom friends who are like my sisters. And I was like, I'm gonna just do a mom's night out. I told them, hey, it's going to be at this time, this place. Just come dress cute, bring a bottle of wine. And they're like, okay, cool. And then for 2 weeks, they're asking me questions like, okay, what's going on? Like, tell me something, because, we know you're a little extra. So like, how should we dress? I'm like, just come cute. That's it. Come cute, show up. And so for me to like decorate everything, I had the table out, the backyard was set up. We did the flower wall. We had the flowers in the trees, just like pretty girly,
it was like a complete
it was
mood.
like a garden, and they came and they were blown away, because I didn't tell them that's what I was doing. They probably just thought they were just gonna show up and we're just gonna watch Real Housewives or something, So I had everything decorated and they loved it.
See, that's the crazy, the best parts, because you go through all this stress, because I think you getting ready for it.
Yeah, it was stressful.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. You're dipping into the whole entrepreneurism.
Yeah,
where you're trying to do two things at the same time.
Yes.
And you get into that one where, okay, I want them to be the best.
Yes.
And then you put it together, and then they got here and you waited for the reaction. Their natural reaction.
Ooh, I was waiting.
Yeah.
My heart was, I was a little nervous because they all came at different times, And so I'm just like trying to like pretend like I'm busy, like doing stuff. And then I just hear in the background, like the screams, And I was just like, okay, they like it, and it was just like the reaction was what I was waiting for. And then they were like asking me questions and like, how did you do this? And how did you build this? Like, it was just so unexpected. And, I don't know, I truly enjoyed putting it all together, and it was stressful, and it was literally down to like the last, hour, 2 hours before the event actually started, where it was like, okay, are we actually going to be able to put this together? Because it was a struggle. We were in the backyard drenched, trying to figure out how to, how to make it work. And we made it work. And so that's kind of like, I have to remind myself, even though things doesn't like work out how you plan it, it's okay to be stressed out, but don't be too stressed out to where you just give up and say, you know what, don't worry. You know what, I'm going to cancel it. I'm not even going to worry about it. It was like, we just figured out a way to make it work. We pushed through, and it just came out like super awesome.
Yeah, I know. And that's the big, like the W, the home run hitter out the park, because you're like, okay, it is worth it.
Yeah, it is worth it. It was worth every drenchy, sweaty sweat that I sweated out my pores. Like it was definitely worth it. And we enjoyed it. We're all moms. We sat outside, we watched the sunset, we ate dinner. My husband cooked us dinner. It was very sweet. We had wine and we had a good time, just hanging out. And I would love to do more events like this.
You have two more things to give before it becomes real for you.
Oh my God.
Okay. You already gave sweat.
So I gave sweat.
So what's the other two?
I didn't give tears. I didn't give blood.
You see what I'm saying? That won't happen.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And that's why I said, no matter what, when people say blood, sweat, tears, it really is
blood, sweat, tears.
Blood, sweat, tears. At some point, you're gonna be. That's why I said you're embarking on one of the craziest, hardest journeys, and it's scary because.
Oh my God. I almost cried though. I almost cried because the night before the event, you and I and the kids went to Home Depot. We had to tie some stuff on the top of our car, and then we had to drive home slow. And we were up late till like 1 a.m. to come to find out the things that we purchased wasn't going to work at all. And I was just like, oh my God, the event is tomorrow. What are we going to do? And so we were just thinking. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, calm down, Blythe. Don't freak out. Like you always do. Just calm down. And then that's when I was like, why don't we just do this.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, that might work. It's like, at first we overcomplicated it. We bought all this stuff and then nothing worked. And then I was like, okay, well, why don't we just do the most simplest thing that we can do? And you were like, oh yeah, well, let's try it. And it worked out perfectly.
It worked out perfect.
Man, but it was a struggle. I almost cried. And you know, I did. Funny. I almost cried, but I was like, keep it together, Bly. Keep it together, because this is something that you want to do, and you don't want to give up on it, because it is very easy to give up. Yeah, it's super easy to give up than to push through. So I was like, push through, you know, and the fact that you were there every step of the way to help me made it even better, because I couldn't have done any of that by myself.
I'm seeing these memes go around where it kind of makes it okay for people to give up. Well, one of them is, you know, the what's that little glue that we use for the roof? The Flexi-Seal.
Yeah, Flexi-Seal.
You know, they have the tape that you can use underwater to seal something up.
Oh yeah.
So they have a meme where the water's squirting out and it says problems, and it says with that little sticker,
that tape.
When you put the tape on, it says, it is what it is.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
So
or you
funny.
just kind of like, it is what it is. It's
yeah,
not.
exactly.
And a lot of times people do give up, because I always say, like, you know, when they talk about, like, Martin Luther King said, the measure of a man's character is how they're tested at a time of like controversy or things like that, right? Yeah. But when you are tested and something truly does happen, that's the time you have to figure out, do you care enough?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's 100% true.
Yeah, some people, they care when it's easy and it's fun.
Yeah.
And things are going the right way. And then when it like messes up on them, something breaks, it's not working, they literally don't care then.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, and then they said, you know what, let me go to that other thing that looks easier and funner.
Exactly.
And, you know, and that's why they always hop on new trends. I see it all the time. That's why I don't ever invest my time and my effort in trying to help somebody or advise them. I just look because they, again, every 6 months, they're on to some new trend.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when it comes to anything, think about it, Bly, you could be in the snowball business, and all you got to deal with is ice and syrup, right?
Yes.
But something's gonna happen.
Exactly.
Between
the ice machine might break.
Something, and then some people like, forget this, you know, and then like they're like, oh, I could sell nachos. Focus on the one thing, because things always happen.
But I do get that, because it happened to us. I ordered flowers, and you know, the last box that I needed did not arrive, and I said, oh my God, how are we going to even finish this flower wall? And so I was almost to the point where, you know what, we don't even need it. I'm not even tripping about it. And you were like, well, we can do this and we can kind of do this. And I was like, okay, well, let's do that. Had it not been for you, I would have gave up on that flower wall. And then, you know, we're literally doing the flower wall the day of the event, a couple of hours before, and we still don't have the box that we need. Finally, we put it up. It looks beautiful. And then my first guest comes, and she has the box in her hand. And I'm like, what is this? She's like, oh, it's at the front door. I'm like, do not tell me this is the flowers that we needed. Crack it open. It's the flowers that we needed. And then I told you about it, and you was like, you know what? I don't even want to know what time it came or anything like that, because I'm going to be upset. And I say, you know what? I'm going to look. Yeah. I'm going to see what time it was delivered. And it was delivered the moment we were actually putting it together. We were outside, so I don't know if they rung the doorbell or not, but yeah, it was just like, dang, had it came like an hour early, we would have saw it. We would have been happy. It would have came out perfect, you know, but we pushed through. We got it together. You know, it still kind of get under my skin a little bit that it was actually here as we were putting it together. Yeah,
that's the part where you have to just move on.
You got to move on from it.
Because, you know, I don't want to take something so personal. You know what I mean?
It still makes my heart hurt a little bit.
It happens all the time because, again, like I told you, this is your art, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So when we weren't able to present it the exact way know you wanted to, you're kind of like, it's okay, I still got it done. Because you get that a lot, which, again, these are memes that show you or try to motivate you. They say, don't worry about it being perfect, just get it out.
Just get it out,
which is important. But then that's also doing it the way that you like or being proud of it is important too. Yeah.
And what I kept reminding myself was, okay, don't mention it to the girls about the hiccup. Like, oh, well, the wall is this. It should have been a little bit bigger because, you know, this, it didn't come in time. I was like, don't say that. Don't make excuses. And I didn't, only to the one person who delivered the box to me. I did mention it to her, but the other girls, I didn't tell them because I'm like, they saw it as perfection. And to me, I was just like, oh, it could have been a little bit bigger.
And I
you
feel
know?
I feel the same way. I agree.
Yeah, when I look at it, I'm like, I love it, but it's not perfect to me. But when they saw it, it was, you couldn't get no better than that. So I have to remember that they're not going to see what you see, you know? So it needs to be, you know, obviously you got to be proud of it, but don't give up on it, because it'll be perfect to somebody else, but it may not be perfection to yourself.
And that's where the confidence comes in.
Yeah.
Because you could complain or again, like you said, make light excuses about,
exactly.
Hey, y'all, the reason why it's not like, and they don't even see nothing.
They don't see it.
But you see it.
Exactly.
And I see that a lot. That level of insecurity where they're like, they apologize for something that you don't even see. You're like,
even see it.
Hey, this was perfect to me. It's like,
exactly.
Yeah, but it's not this. Like, look, some people are that low confident when they keep beating themselves up when someone's like, no, this is great. Like, no, it sucks. And it's like, come on now. Exactly. It happens sometimes when people do it kind of, they want to just get free praise.
That free praise. I ain't the one to give it to them.
Yeah, they be like,
look, I'm going to say it 1 or 2 times and that's it. I ain't going to keep praising you. If you don't believe me, then we moving on.
Yeah, because some people like, no, man, hey, they sit them down, have a talk with them, like, you're smart. And you're like, man, thank you. It's like, you ain't need all that.
No, you really didn't.
Stop being a victim. And going through all this, you know.
Stop being a victim.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up some other topics, some other stuff that was a little bit crazy. Okay, the whole Cardi B and
Offset right?
divorcing.
Okay, so what is that about? Because I don't think I read anything that said why. I mean, I have my own assumptions, but
what are your assumptions?
Well, I mean, he cheated on her before, so I'm assuming that kind of happened again. Maybe he had like a whole relationship outside of their marriage. It has to be something so serious to get a divorce.
You know what I think it is?
What?
Okay, I don't know if you remember this, but when they did get together, and I said, I don't think it's gonna last longer than this.
You did say that.
Yeah, and I think I gave it like a year.
You did say that. Yeah, I do remember.
And this, I think, almost to the day. I think it's almost exactly to the point where I said, cannot. I feel like it's not gonna, and it's not. See, this happens also in business where I see some people set things up, and I just look and I already do the math on certain things. You know, it's not even my opinion. It's literally I just see it. And when you look at two people, you have to understand compatibility.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like they didn't have the compatibility necessary for them to, because her background is, you know, something that is very aggressive. Yeah. You know, and he has, you know, his background. And they bring it together, don't really know each other, but yet they started doing things like rushing to things, you know, rushing to say I love you, rushing to the tattoos, rushing to the marriage, rushing to the baby. Yeah. And when you see that, when I started seeing a rush where they weren't even getting to know each other. Yeah. And I'm like, how could it last? Because the people who do stuff like that are people who aren't even really compatible. Yeah. They don't really want to have those discussions or get to know each other, because if we don't do it while we're lusting and have all this heat under each other right now, we might never do it. That's true. So I look at it, I'm like, okay, because I see it it doesn't have to be celebrity. Yeah. It could be anybody where.
You're good at reading people though.
Because some people, look, I say this, remember? Whatever you do, if you're insecure about something, whatever you do to hide it exposes you. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I just see what they're trying to hide. Exactly. And then you can see it in their behavior. And then when they do this type of behavior, which is very toxic behavior, rushing and like, think about it. When at your job that you've ever had or anything, that something that was rushed came out the way it was supposed to. Exactly. You know, it's very rare that when you rush, it's good, because even if it did come out right, you're stressed and it wasn't worth it. Right, right. You know, or something wasn't done correctly and you knew I should just slow down, but yet someone was rushing me. No one really wants to rush. Right. So when two people come together and actively rush, I'm like, oh, I get it. It's something, this is more about their ego. This is more about them trying to signal that we have what this other couple has or anything like that. I'm like, you could have just took your time, not rush. But see, again, some people it's not rushing. Some people know. That's you know, true. Some people know early and they do all the things necessary, take all the steps. Right. You know, and it gets to a point to where now they're extremely happy, married, 80 years.
Right, exactly.
And they only knew each other for 2 weeks.
No,
you know?
that's true. I actually have a friend who I want to say she's been married coming up maybe 2 years, I think. And yeah, they dated for a little bit, maybe like a month, 2 months, and then got engaged, got married. Yeah, all within a year of knowing each other. And you know, I feel like they're very compatible.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it, the compatibility. And because like when you're at work and someone's like rushing you, sometimes they don't have to rush because you're so good at what you're doing and you know what you're doing at that particular thing that it's just right. You get it out right and they're like, wow, that was fast. Same thing with like compatibility. When you know, it doesn't take very long. You just do the necessary things and it doesn't look like rushing. You know, to some people who look at it, it's like, oh, they're going too fast and all that. But some people just know.
They just know.
And some people don't. That's why it's like you have to be able to read those signals. And I knew within like Cardi and Offset, just the compatibility alone, to me, it wasn't there.
Right.
Based on what they're doing to rush. So
man, so she filed for divorce.
Yeah, she filed.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's like
it sucks because they have a child. You know.
Yeah.
It sucks when you have kids and you have to do the whole divorce thing.
Yeah, and they look good together too.
They do. They look really good.
Yeah, I was actually rooting for them.
Yeah.
Even though the signals and the flags were there, you know. Even though the signals and the flags were there.
God. Yeah, you're rooting for him.
I was still rooting for him because, you know, she works hard. You know, she spoils him. I mean, even for his birthday. This is another part where I didn't understand either. This is toxic too.
Yeah.
Where like he went to the fridge and then she pulled out a big plate. I think it was like $500,000. She gave him a plate
of money.
And she's like, happy birthday. And he's like, what is it? And she's like, count it. He's like, oh, is this and this? He's like, man, you give me $500,000, man. Like, and this is like a year ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then for like her birthday, he bought her like, I think they had like matching Rolls Royces or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you can even see when he bought the daughter that big purse or something like that.
Yeah, the Birkin or whatever.
Yeah, the Birkin, where you could see a lot of ego.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
Why would
what I mean?
you buy a 2-year-old a Birkin bag? I was just like, see, that's what happens when you just give people money. I don't know. They don't even know what to do with it. I'm like, a Birkin bag? Seriously?
A Birkin bag.
And the way she was holding it and she just threw it back. She's like, I don't want that. Like, give her a baby doll. That's what she want. You know what I mean? A Birkin bag. That's crazy.
And that's what I said. Sometimes I see ego in people's kids. Like, you know, again, it's your choice if you want your son to have earrings and all that.
Yeah.
But when you take your son, you know, to go get his ears pierced.
Yeah.
At 2 months old or something like that.
Right.
That's not his choice. That's your choice.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you could see that, I just want him to be able to, like, you're making that priority for him, you know, to where he needs to get his ears pierced.
Yeah.
He needs to have Gucci, you know, baby shoes and baby socks and all this kind of stuff. You're like, all I don't see like a well-dressed kid. I see ego.
Yeah, and it's funny because we see that a lot in our store.
All the time.
You know, little boys who I think are girls because both of their ears are pierced. They got the necklace. They got the bracelet.
All the drip.
And I'm just like, he can't even walk yet. You know what I mean? You know, his outfit costs more than my outfit, and he can't even walk. It's crazy, but you're right. It's ego in the parents.
You see the ego. You're like, I don't know if someone could, because you know it's hard to survive big egos.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I'm starting to see this, which it might be another combo, but I'm starting to see this around. Where, okay, usually they attribute men with egos.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, but now when people are talking about how women are becoming a little bit more masculine in certain ways with how they're doing business and things like that always were more male dominated. Okay, now it's almost where like women are having egos.
I could see that too.
You see what I'm saying? And I don't know how that mixes up.
Oh, I see.
With like women trying to get what they want out of a man.
Yeah.
When men are usually the ones who were considered the ego carriers. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Where, you know, you do something to them to emasculate it and then they feel a certain type of way because men's egos usually are very high. And then women, you don't really hear, oh yeah, she got a big ego. You never really hear that.
No, you don't.
But now you're starting to see women actually have these egos and they're not, and I feel like that might be the male trait. That is is unattractive.
Yeah,
like they don't attract each other because if a man has an ego and a woman has an ego,
it won't work.
Yeah, how could it work?
That would be like, what is it? Not type A.
Yeah, I think it's
what is it, like AB personality? Alpha personality.
Yeah, two alphas. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Two alphas is very difficult for them to work. There's no yin and yang.
Yeah.
It's like yang and yang, yin and yin, and you're like, it can't be that. It has to balance out, and that I feel like a lot of that has to do with ego. Now, mind you, it's not all the people who don't get what they want out of it, but I know that is probably. There's a book called Ego is the Enemy.
Okay.
And I read that one, and it's a lot. It talks about that too. Like a lot of the reasons why people have downfalls or go into depression or just have issues in general, a lot of it has to do with their personal ego. So whenever you develop just a unhealthy ego about something, it can't survive in anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because either you're too braggadocious when you're here, no one wants to be around you, or you're too desperate over here and no one wants to like be tied down to you being clingy or whatever it might be that's just imbalanced or unhealthy about what you do, So
I know a few people like that. Why can't we just all be humble?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just be chill, man. Just live life.
I wish man, that's one of those things where I'm like, why can't we just be humble about things?
See, but I feel like maybe because, my upbringing in New Orleans, I feel like a lot of people in New Orleans are very humble. Like, we don't care about hardly anything. We just be chilling. Like, that's just how we live life. We're so carefree. We're just so relaxed. It is what it is. Like, but then, I moved to Texas, and it's like, it's a different ball game out here, It's all about what you got, what you're showing off. All that stuff. So I'm just like,
you think it's a Texas thing? You think it's a Texas thing?
No, it's not a Texas thing.
But you're seeing it,
I see it in Texas. Because I live here. I do see the competitiveness, whatever the word is. Yeah, people competing. Look, I do see it a lot, but in New Orleans, it's not like that at all. Everybody's just real chill, and it's just everybody's just comfortable. That's just kind of how it is. So
I have a word that I really like.
You always like your words.
Yeah,
which one is this one?
Because it's easy. I like the simple, easy, smooth, easy ones. Like one of them, this one's Cogent.
Cogent?
Yeah. Cogent. Cogent.
Oh, Cogent. Okay.
Yeah. And when you show somebody something, or when you are given an idea or telling somebody something, you strive for cogency, which is clarity, and it both having to be clear and convincing.
Oh,
that's so when a message is cogent, it means it's clear and convincing.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So if you look at, like, this is a good example. You look at Joe Budden. His speeches aren't very cogent.
Okay.
Because you have to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that to get people to not only be inspired by what you say, but to listen and believe in what you're saying. Exactly. And for it to be convincing. And there's a whole what you call it, formula to it. Yeah. And then you have Trump, who his messages are very cogent. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Very convincing, because he could say the things that are logical in what he's explaining, or illogical in what others are doing, This
is what I'm afraid of.
But you see what I'm saying? That's why certain people have ways of cutting through their message, because their messages are very cogent. Right. And some people just don't have cogency in what they're actually saying, and they don't understand that things need to be both clear, simple, clear, and convincing.
Makes sense.
For it to be cogent. And when you have that, people will listen to anything you have to say.
Okay, I like that.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it is a good word.
Cogent.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. That. Well, anything else you want to share? Because there's like a few things I want to talk about, but really?
I know, because we talk way too long.
I think we're in too deep.
I know. Maybe we could do like a part 2 or something.
Yeah, there's. Maybe I should just say it. Maybe what time we have, because I got to get the boys right now.
Oh, nope. All right. So guess we'll talk to y'all next week.
Man, that was incredible though.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
We always have great conversations. We love talking to you guys, and questions. Send us questions. We love questions.
Yeah, we love it, and let us know what's on your mind. It's good talking to y'all. Yeah, and we'll see y'all later. Peace out. Stay strong and be happy. Peace out.